From the debate to social media, it is a claim popping up ahead of tomorrow's Senate runoff. Does Democratic candidate Raphael Warnock want to end cash bail? Liza Lucas takes a closer look.
Here's another claim circulating online ahead of the runoffs. Senator Loeffler tweeting that Reverend Raphael Warnock wants to end cash bail, which she says would release violent criminals onto the streets. This one prompting a lot of back and forth online. Let's verify with sources including the nonpartisan Brennan Center for Justice, a 2018 Atlanta City Council meeting, a June 2019 11 Alive report, and Warnock's Twitter feed. To start, the Brennan Center lays out the basics of the cash bail system, which is used as a guarantee that a defendant will return to court. Those who don't have the funds to pay bail themselves or with a bond company are forced to await trial in jail. Critics have called the practice discriminatory. Warnock spoke on the issue at a 2018 Atlanta City Council meeting, supporting a city ordinance to eliminate the cash bond requirement for nonviolent arrest.
So I stand to say that we ought to support this new ordinance. We ought to end money bail. We ought to end wealth-based detention.
Warnock has long pushed for criminal justice reform. A 2019 11 Alive news report followed the Ending Mass Incarceration Conference Warnock helped plan at Ebenezer Baptist. One goal of that initiative was expanding the city of Atlanta's signature bond policy to more cities, counties, and states. And the issue emerged again during the Senate campaign. In October, Warnock tweeting, "Poverty is not a crime," calling for an end to the cash bail system. With such sources, we can verify that it's true Warnock has repeatedly said he wants to end cash bail, but his campaign says he doesn't mean a complete ban of the system. While Loeffler's tweet says Warnock's stance would mean violent criminals on the street, Warnock's camp says Warnock supports ending cash bail for nonviolent misdemeanor offenses only. Do you have a claim or question you'd like us to verify? Send us an email at verify@11alive.com.